Good morning. This is The View from the Pew. It's Thursday morning, May the 21st, 2020. We're looking at the commands of Christ in the book of Matthew, primarily in Matthew because one of the last words from Jesus in the book of Matthew is this, when he says in Matthew 28, 19 and 20, "You're to go out and disciple all nations, and one of the ways you disciple all nations as a follower of Christ is teaching those nations to observe all I have commanded you to do." Teaching them to observe all I have commanded you to do. I skipped over a couple of commands, didn't do it on purpose, but I want to backtrack a little bit and go back from Matthew 5:37, and I want to go to Matthew 5:29. This is going to be another one of those that's really going to challenge our thinking. First, you need to understand that I don't view this command literally. However, there is a spiritual application to this that must be applied to our lives. So let's listen to how Jesus describes it, and I can just see the eyes widening as men and women who are his followers are listening to him say this, and I'm sure there were a lot of questions after class that day regarding this one. So listen to what he says. He says, "If your right eye causes you to sin, pluck it out and cast it from you. For it is more profitable for you that one of your members perish than for your whole body to be cast into hell. If your right hand causes you to sin, cut it off and cast it from you. For it is more profitable for you that one of your members perish than for your whole body to be cast into hell." Here is my interpretation, my understanding of that, and my application as well. If you've got an issue in your life that's causing you to keep falling into sin, if it's a stumbling block for you spiritually, then you need to do what I would call a radical sin-ectomy. You need to take that thing and remove it from your life. It may be a habit that you have. It may be a thing that you have got an addiction to. It may be a person who's a bad influence in your life. It could be anything. But in a spiritual application of this, I'm thinking of that thing that becomes a stumbling block to you and me. Jesus doesn't want sin in any part of our life as a believer. He wants us to look at sin with the same hatred for sin that he has towards sin. And that means we've got to be willing to take radical measures to deal with those things that are sinful and spiritually offensive in our lives. So I'm going to call this command, be willing to make and follow through on a radical sin-ectomy. Cut the sin out, cut the offense out, deal with it. For some of you, that's going to be very hard. Some of you who have dealt with addictions understand that sometimes you've got to make a clean break from those things or from those people. And that's what Jesus is saying. He says don't hold on to that thing because you love it. It's not worth eternity to hold on to it. That thing, Jesus even seems to be implying that if you hold on to that thing, it's going to stand between you and a faith walk with God. I've heard of people who said, well, I'd be a Christian if I didn't have to give up X. You know what? Being a Christian is worth giving up whatever. Doesn't matter if it's good or bad. Being a Christian's worth giving up religion. Being a Christian's worth giving up my preconceptions about the truth, or it's worth giving up whatever for Christianity because Jesus gave it up for me. And Jesus is saying to his followers, if this thing's offending you and it's causing you to sin, if it's causing you to stumble, don't hesitate. Make a clean break. And I would encourage you to do the same thing. This is a hard step to take, especially because we get comfortable with our sin. But I would encourage you to listen to the command. As a follower of Jesus, listen to what he's saying to us today. Don't coddle sin. Don't compromise with sin. Make a clean break from those things that you know are sin in your life today. Love you guys. Pray you have a great Thursday. Pray for me as I'll be preaching part 2 of the sermon on why do bad things happen to good people. And really the title is going to be, Why Did the Righteous Suffer? why do the righteous suffer? So I hope that you'll tune in 9:30 and 11 a.m. And I hope that you'll also join us for Sunday school as we talk about accepting one another with all of our differences on Sunday morning. God bless.